one choice. That's all it would have taken to change the fate of Westeros forever. What if Jon Snow didn't kill Daenerys? Let's explore how this decision changes the course of history. The blade never pierced her heart. In that frozen moment, Jon Snow, son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, sees madness in her eyes, but also pain. He sees the lonely child, the exile, the conqueror shaped by fire and loss. And instead of killing her, he kisses her. Not out of love, but fear. Fear of who she'll become without him. Fear of who he'll become without her. Before we dive into Daenerys ruling Westeros, take a second to subscribe and hit the bell. It helps us bring you more epic content. Thanks for the support. Now let's get into it. In the days that follow, Daenerys Targaryen solidifies her rule over King's Landing. Ash still falls. The Iron Throne melted and twisted, but the Red Keep stands. The Unsullied patrol the streets. The people stay silent, and Jon remains by her side, watching her, guarding her, trying to contain her. But the whispers grow louder. The lords of Westeros watch from the shadows. The realm trembles, unsure if the war is truly over. To silence the doubt, Daenerys makes a bold decision. She marries Jon Snow. Jon doesn't oppose her. He sees no way out. A Targaryen wedding, ice and fire, bound before the gods. The realm watches with held breath, some seeing hope, others a nightmare sealed in gold and blood. Weeks pass. The city begins to rebuild. Then comes the Raven. It arrives under moonlight, wings battered from the winds over the narrow sea. The letter bears a name from her past, Daenerys.
My queen, the masters grow bold. The sons of the Harpy no longer hide. Slavers from Yunkai and Astapor are testing our defenses. Meereen may fall. Your name no longer strikes fear. What shall I tell them now?
Her hands tremble, not with grief, but with rage. Her empire in Essos, the one she bled for, is crumbling. And with it, the dream she once fought for. Grey Worm urges immediate war, but Jon opposes her. And for the first time, they speak not as husband and wife, but as rulers divided.
You can't leave now. We just united the realm. If you vanish, everything we've built falls apart.
Westeros needs order, but Meereen needs salvation. I left them in my name. If that name no longer means anything, then I have to remind them who I am.
You're queen now. You can't rule both worlds.
Watch me.
And if you don't return,
Then you will rule in my name. I trust you, Jon, more than anyone.
that's what I'm afraid of.
She steps forward, touches his cheek. Her voice softens.
You keep the fire from consuming me. If I don't come back, make sure the fire doesn't consume Westeros.
She kisses him on the forehead, then turns. Drogon roars somewhere in the night. The queen prepares to sail. And so, just weeks after conquering the Seven Kingdoms, Daenerys Targaryen, Queen of Ashes and Fire, leaves Westeros behind, leaving Jon Snow on the throne, and a storm gathering in the shadows. Should Daenerys have stayed in Westeros and ruled, or was she right to return to the east? What would you have done? One visit a month. That's all Westeros gets from its queen. Daenerys returns to King's Landing under the cover of night. One day, sometimes two. No court, no council, no decrees. Only Jon. Only their bed. And then she's gone again. Back to Meereen. Back to the war. Weeks pass, then months. Jon takes counsel alone. He listens to the grumbling lords, and their grumbling turns to anger. The word spreads fast. She burned King's Landing to the ground, She vanished across the sea while the ashes were still warm. She rules from a foreign city. She comes back only to share a bed, not to share a crown. And Jon warns her.
They're losing patience. The Riverlands are restless. The north is colder than ever. You left them nothing but smoke and silence.
I left them peace. They're just too blind to see it.
They see a queen who's never here, who burned their capital and abandoned her throne.
Let them talk. They talked about Aegon the Conqueror too, until they kneeled.
But there's a difference between Aegon and her. He stayed. Meanwhile, in Meereen, the war never ends. The Sons of the Harpy strike from the shadows. Guerrilla raids, poisonings, riots. The slavers regroup, backed by gold from Volantis and mercenaries from Karth. Daario does what he can, but the city bleeds. And the Dragon Queen, despite her fire, cannot burn a ghost. To restore order in the west, Daenerys agrees to pardon Tyrion. She named him Lord of Casterly Rock, the last living Lannister fit to rule. The Queen had locked him away, for treason, for defying her. Then whispers reached Jon. From a merchant, then a sailor, then a raven intercepted mid-flight. They all say the same thing. When the Queen returns to Meereen, she doesn't sleep alone. Jon keeps silent, for days. Then, one night, as Daenerys prepares to leave again...
Is it true?
Is what true?
Daario, you and him, in Meereen.
Does it matter?
I'm your husband.
You're the regent of Westeros. That was your choice. Mine was to keep my empire from falling.
You could have told me.
I don't answer to guilt, Jon. And I don't owe anyone explanations, not even you.
She speaks like a king. Not a partner. Not a queen. A ruler, untouchable, detached. The girl who once broke chains now forges them again, around the neck of every man who ever thought he mattered. Legitimacy. The word begins as a whisper, then spreads like wildfire. The Queen is gone more than she stays. The war in Essos drags on, and in Westeros, the lords begin to murmur. The first to move is Sansa Stark. She rules the north in Jon's absence, and as unrest grows, she lights the match that could burn the realm again. She spreads the truth. Jon is the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, the true heir, born of fire and ice, the rightful king. And soon, the Riverlands and the Vale join her cause. Jon is paralyzed. He never wanted the crown. He never wanted war. But now, war wants him. Daenerys is away, consumed by a battle she can't win, and Westeros fractures beneath her feet. Jon does the one thing he promised Daenerys not to do. He summons the one man that can handle politics. He summons Tyrion to King's Landing. The Queen had sent him away to Casterly Rock, but now Jon needs his mind.
I should have summoned you long ago.
You should have. But then again, you never were one for timely decisions.
Sansa wants a meeting. I don't know what she'll say.
She'll say the North is done kneeling, and she's not alone. Meet her. Talk. Before someone else picks up a sword.
And so, under a banner of neutrality, Jon meets Sansa at Riverrun, the last peaceful river before the storm. She's not alone. The lords of the Vale and the Riverlands stand behind her. Her voice carries more than just northern pride. It carries momentum.
The lords want independence, Jon. They see a queen who's never here, and a king who refuses to act.
I'm not a king.
You are. You were born to it.
I was born in war, raised in the north. I swore to Daenerys.
You're not Ned Stark's son. You're a Targaryen. You belong to the realm. Not just one woman.
And somewhere in the shadows, Tyrion listens. He watches. He sees the queen growing more unstable, more ruthless, more distant. He trusts her less every day. So he writes, quietly, secretly, to Sansa. He tells her what she already suspects. Westeros doesn't need fire. It needs balance. And Jon is the only one who can hold both sides of the realm in his blood. Far in the north, Arya Stark remains at Winterfell. She was meant to sail west, to chase the edge of the world. But she stayed. The kingdom needed watching, and her family needed protecting. The wolves of the north are circling. And for the first time, they're not howling at Daenerys. They're howling at Jon. She returns in fire and shadow, not with banners or ships, but on dragon wings, alone. Drogon lands above the Red Keep like a storm cloud, and Daenerys walks back into the capital without a single soldier. She left them all in Meereen, to die for a war that refuses to end. There is no triumph in her voice, only rage, veiled in cold silence. And then she demands more.
I need funds. The war continues. Gold must flow if peace is to follow.
You're talking about raising taxes across the realm?
I'm talking about contribution, sacrifice. If they want my protection, they must pay for it.
The lords are already angry. You burned their capital and vanished. Now you ask for coin they don't have.
I gave them a chance at a better world, and they spat on it. If there's rebellion, it's because you allowed it.
I've done what I could to hold the realm together.
Have you? Or have you just watched as your sister poisons the north, and the Vale, and the Riverlands?
They don't trust easily. Not after everything that's happened.
Then remind them who rules, or I will.
And just like that, she's gone again. Not with an army, just fire, fury, and a dragon large enough to burn a kingdom. Jon is left behind, with orders to squeeze gold from starving lords, and a threat hanging in the air. But across the sea, her world collapses. Meereen bleeds from every wall. The Sons of the Harpy have returned, not as scattered terrorists, but as an organized rebellion. Backed by slaver gold, trained by mercenaries, and fueled by vengeance. The ambush is swift, precise. Daario Naharis is surrounded in the alleys he once ruled. His body is found 2 days later, pierced by a dozen blades, a harpy mask resting on his chest. A message. With him dies her last link to the east, her lover, her loyal blade, the only man who never feared her fire. 3/4 of her forces are gone, unsullied, cut down in the streets they once patrolled. Dothraki slaughtered in ambushes or scattered into the desert. Even her banner no longer flies above the pyramids. There is no city to save, no allies to call, no people left chanting her name. She watches from the air atop Drogon as flames rise from the very place she once called her home. But they are not her flames. Not this time. The woman who once broke chains across Slaver's Bay now watches her empire collapse like sand through bloodied fingers. And so she does the unthinkable. She flees. Not to regroup, not to retaliate. She flees because there is nothing left to conquer, nothing left to prove. For the first time in years, Daenerys Targaryen retreats. Not as a liberator, not as a breaker of chains, not as a queen, but as a woman returning to Westeros, with nothing left to rule except ashes. It begins quietly, a raven from the north, another from the Riverlands. No more soldiers, no more taxes, no more crown. The North declares its independence first, citing the scars left by the Night King, the burnt capital, the silence of the Queen. They will not pay. They will not kneel. Sansa Stark is proclaimed Queen in the North. Then the Riverlands follow. Edmure Tully, long silent, steps out of the shadows and into history once again. His words are calm. His message is not. The Crown has abandoned the realm, so the Riverlands will defend their own. And the Vale? The Eyrie doesn't speak yet, but its silence says everything. When Daenerys returns, she carries no banners, no army, no victory, only the weight of failure and the bitter taste of retreat. She storms through the Red Keep, demanding answers, and Jon gives them.
The North has seceded. The Riverlands too. The Vale will follow.
And you let them?
I spoke. I reasoned. They won't listen.
Then make them listen. You speak of peace, Jon, but you sit by while this kingdom fractures.
It's not just rebellion. It's survival. The North is starving. The Riverlands are flooded. They don't have gold to give.
No, they just have their precious pride. Your sister made sure of that.
Sansa speaks for her people. She always has.
And you speak for me, or have you forgotten your vows?
I swore to protect the realm, not destroy it.
You swore to me. But now I see, you never believed in me. Not really.
Her decision is made in a breath. She mounts Drogon before the sun sets. No counsel, no hesitation. She flies north. Winterfell greets her with silence. Drogon circles the skies, casting shadows over the snow. The last dragon over the last great castle of the north. Sansa meets her in the courtyard. No crown, no blade. Just steel in her spine.
You have one chance. Bend the knee, restore your oath, or face fire.
You want obedience, not loyalty.
I want order. What you do next decides who burns and who lives.
Then give me a week. Let me speak to my people. Let them decide what kind of queen they want.
1 week. Then I return. Don't make me remind the North what dragons are made for.
She leaves Winterfell behind, but not forgotten. Back in King's Landing, Jon is waiting. Not to argue, just to understand.
You gave her time. Thank you.
I gave her mercy. But if she mistakes it for weakness, she'll learn otherwise.
I've written to her. Asked her to do what's needed. To live.
Then hope your sister values your life more than her crown.
Jon's letter flies north. A simple plea. Bend. Survive. But another letter is already in motion. Tyrion and Sansa, once husband and wife, now conspirators. Exchanging secrets, calculating odds, preparing for what must be done if Jon won't act. And Arya? She was never a queenmaker. She was a blade. She reads her sister's letter once, then disappears. 1 week later, Daenerys returns. Drogon lands in the same courtyard. This time, there's no resistance. Only quiet soldiers, a bowed maester, a kneeling queen. Sansa kneels, and the North watches. Daenerys steps forward. Jon isn't there. Tyrion isn't there. Only Sansa, alone, resigned. Or so it seems. They meet in the middle, a breath, a nod. And then, from the shadows behind a pillar, Arya Stark steps forward, No mask, no hesitation, just a blade. The dagger pierces Daenerys' heart in one clean, perfect strike. The same blade that once ended the Night King. Daenerys gasps, looks Arya in the eyes, but the girl says nothing, just like last time. Drogon howls. The fire comes fast. Soldiers scream. Ash rises. Several Northerners are burned alive. But Arya and Sansa vanish into the chaos, already planned, already gone. And Drogon, he does not kill. He mourns. He takes Daenerys' body in his claws, lifts her from the blood-soaked snow, and flies. Not north, not south, just away, into legend. The Dragon Queen is gone. No tomb, no trial, no kingdom. Only smoke in the sky, and the realm left behind to wonder what might rise from the ashes. The Raven reaches King's Landing 2 days after the fire. Daenerys Targaryen is dead, slain by a Stark, in silence, in snow. No body, no grave, no answers. Jon reads the message alone. He feels the weight of it, the guilt, the failure, but also relief. Sansa is alive, Arya too, and the war, the madness, is finally over. But peace doesn't mean silence, and soon the voices return.
She's gone. The realm needs a ruler. Not a dragon. Not a ghost. A man they trust.
It shouldn't have ended like this. She wanted to break the wheel, and now she's the one broken.
She built her kingdom on fire and fear. That wheel never stops spinning, Jon. Unless someone strong enough holds it still.
I'm not strong. I'm just tired.
And yet you're still standing. After the wall. After the Night King. After her. You're still here, Jon.
I'm not a king. I'm not my father, or my brother, or even a lord.
No. You're worse. You're honest. And that terrifies people more than dragons.
I never wanted this.
Good. That's the first sign you're the right man for the job.
You have the blood. You have the name. But that's not what makes you king. What makes you king is that you'd rather die than rule for your own sake.
And what if I fail? What if I become like her?
Then you'll need us to stop you. Just like we needed someone to stop her. But right now, there's no one else. Only you.
You didn't choose the crown, Jon. But it's chosen you. Now be the man she couldn't be.
Then may the gods have mercy on us all.
And so, the bastard of Winterfell becomes king. Jon is crowned Aegon Targaryen VI, the rightful king of Westeros. Not with shouts, not with cheers, but with a heavy heart and tired hands. The North, the Riverlands, and the Vale, the very kingdoms that broke away, bend the knee. Not for a queen, not for fear, but for him. The bastard of Winterfell, the heir of fire and ice, the man who never wanted a crown. And so, the Dragon Queen is gone, and in her place, a wolf sits on the throne, not to rule with fire, but to hold the realm together, one scar at a time. Jon Snow was never meant to rule, but fate never asks for permission. He didn't conquer, he didn't burn, he simply endured. And in the end, that's what Westeros needed most. But now, tell me, what kind of king will he become? Can a man forged by duty and loss truly hold the realm together? Or has the fire he tried to contain already started to burn within? Let us know in the comments. Do you think Jon Snow was the right choice for the throne? Would the realm survive under his rule, or would history simply repeat itself? If you want more alternate timelines from the world of Westeros, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and hit that notification bell. Every what if opens a new door, and we're just getting started.